Hello and welcome back again to the channel. In this video we will learn how to build your decks on Middle-earth platform. The first thing we have to do is go to the decks section. As we already see on our last video, you have two sections inside the deck section. The first one is My Decks, which will be empty if you just open a new account. And it's where all your decks will be stored. And then you have the shared decks section where you can see all the decks that the people from the community have shared to the rest of the players. So we'll start with the My Deck section. Just imagine this is empty. So the first thing we want to make is create a new deck. You can mark a deck name here, so just test deck. The context can be standard, doing cards or fan-made, and the format can be standard, Arda, or solitaire. And here you can select the alignment. For this case, we'll just make a hero versus hero deck. And we will start including all the sides. This is something that we can make later during the creation of the deck. Okay, so we push create deck, and here is the main screen for the deck. You have here on the left side of the screen, you can choose a card for the image of the deck. It will take by default the image of the wizard or ring wraith balrog on the deck, but you can change it whenever you want. You can select the background, that is the mat with which you will play the game with that specific deck. If you don't choose any, it will be used the standard mat that you have chosen here in the hall. And it's the same with the dice. You can choose a specific pair of dice for this game, or just leave it unselected, and you will use the dice that you have selected on the whole. Here you can change the test deck. You can make a description of the deck here, and you have the alignment and the versus sections here. You can put some tags on the deck if you want, and here you can see the format, the context, the date and time of creation and update of the deck, and some buttons here that we'll refer to them later. Here you can see the sections of the deck: the play deck, pool, the sideboard, and sides. In case you want to play, for example, also a deck against a fallen wizard, you can just add here in the add part button the sideboard versus fallen wizard. In case you change your mind and don't want to use it against fallen wizard, you can just go here and remove this section. This is the only section that you can remove. You cannot remove your sideboard or pool because there are sections of the deck that you always need. Okay, and how do you add cards to the deck? Okay, you have here the add sides. In this case, as it is a hero deck, it will add all the sides for hero players, one copy for each non-haven side and 4 copies for each haven. You can add now, or you can have them added at the creation of the deck, as we saw earlier. Okay, so for the rest of the sections, you can just go to add from search. This will add the same search as you have in MECCG.es or MECCG.com. So for example, if you're looking for characters for your pool and you want, let's say, 8 minders and above from hero alignment, here you have all of them, and in each of them you can put it on your pool, on your play deck, or on your sideboard. Let's put some of them here. Okay, and there you have them. You can see in the pool section it says 4 characters, and then you have all of them. You can also add in your pool minor items. So if you select resources, and let's say you want, for example, some crumbs, you can add them to the pool also. And now, as you can see, you have 2 resources and 4 characters in your pool. You can remove all the resources or all the characters just by pushing this little bin here that appears when you hover the mouse above each of the title. And if you hover the mouse over each card, you can add more copies, remove copies, or just move this card to any of the other sections of the deck. That's not the only way. You can also add from text. You can put it here, the name of the card. Right now it accepts English and Spanish titles. So for example, we can make a change meeting here, and we select that we want it on our play deck and add to deck, and here you have. Here you can copy one line or as many lines as you want. We will see a good functionality of this later in the video. You can also add a complete deck from a file. As you can see here, you can use the GCCG format for importing your deck. So, for example, if we just clear everything, which is this button, let's import from a file, and let's go, for example, with this one, which is a GCCG file, sorry. And here you have imported deck, and we have here 28 resources, 32 hazards, because we have 2 trailers here that would act as resources in this deck. Characters, the pool, sideboard divided in resources and hazards, sideboard versus Fallen Wizard. So as we have Fallen Wizard, we should mark Fallen Wizard here, and all the sides. You can also insert cards in this deck from other decks that you have. For example, let's say you have this deck which is designed against hero, and you just want to make the minion, the versus minion deck. Then you can just remove the hazards and import from another deck. So we go here, we will choose a deck which is against minions, for example this one, and we want the hazards from this deck from the play deck. Here you have what you can import, and here you have from which section of the deck you will import it, and it's the same section where all those cards will be dumped. So if we select the hazards from the play deck, it will dump all these hazards in our play deck. So we just push import, and here you have all the hazards from a different deck here. As you see, when I imported the deck, it appears Palando here, as this deck, for example, has a very characteristic card, which is the Book of Masarbul. I want that here, so I will just look for the name. You don't have to start with the same characters as in the title of the card. You can just use the most characteristics, and here you have Book of Masarbul there. Okay, so we have just imported cards from another different deck. There you have add part, which we already seen. Right now I cannot use this button because I already have my sideboard versus Fallen Wizard. We already revised this thing, and this other one, we can export our deck. this will create a file in our download folder where we can find the deck that we have just exported. So let me check it 1 second here. And test deck, this is the one, and this is the format. Okay, which is GCCG friendly. It doesn't divide by characters, hazards, and resources. It just takes here all the cards on the deck. And this you can import in other platforms as Melon, for example. Okay, if we go back here, we have the check legality button. It will check from the alignment that you have chosen here. So if we make the check here, it says standard to hero. There cannot be more than one of the following my pressures. They may not be more than 3 of Hitler's Revelry, and the number of hazards and resources must be the same, which is not okay right now. As you can see, if there are cards that are generating problems with the legality, it will be marked with a different color, with a dark red here. So as you can see, we have one my precious here, but we have another one here. So we can just remove my precious from here, and we can remove, which was on the other one, you may not have more than 3 Headless Revelry. We can, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will remove one from the Sideboard versus Fallen Wizard. Let's check again and see what happens. Okay, and again, it says that resources and hazards are not the same number, so we'll just add 2 more, a friend of 3, and that would make the trick. Okay, this deck is legal now for standard to hero deck. You can select here if you want it for 3 decks, 4 decks, or whatever. Okay, and you have another functionality here, which is draw hand, and this will take 8 random cards from your play deck, and you can just keep pushing and take different starting hands, so you can just check if it pleases to you how the deck is behaving. So maybe your deck, you draw 50 different hands and only in 5 of them you have resources, then you have to think about getting more marshalling point resources in your deck and not pack everything in the sideboard and things like that. And also you have a map here which you can press, and you can just check all the sites in each of the region, including the underground sites, just to plan when you are building your deck. Okay, we have seen this now. You have these buttons here. You can duplicate your deck. Well, before that, I have to mention that you will not find any save button anywhere. And that's because each time you make a change in the deck, you add one card, you remove one card, you move one card from one part of the deck to the other, the deck will always be saved. So I can just go back to decks, and here you can see the last one 13 minutes ago. My test deck is here, and I didn't press save because there is no save button. Okay, so just imagine you have this deck ready and you want to change it and create a version versus, this is versus hero and fallen wizard, let's say versus minion. Then you can duplicate the deck. Right now you have test deck copy, and it's as simple as, well, now I will remove the hazards section and just insert, let's say, is right now we'll make this versus minion. I will add hazards, for example, for another deck, which is versus minion, for example, this one, hazards from the play deck. And here it is. I'll check legality, just in case. And this is legal now. So if I go back to text, I should have here the version hero versus hero and fallen wizard and hero versus minion. I can publish this deck. This means that it will be available for any of the other players in the community that are registered on the platform. So if I push this click here, deck published, and as you can see, I can unpublish whenever I want. And from this button you can delete the deck. There is also two more sections which are interesting. The other section is explanation. Here you can make all your notes for how to play this deck. It's advisable to have here the starting company, the most usual size that you visit, how it's supposed to work, the resources strategy and the hazard strategy. If there is something special that you need to remember, everything should be right down here. And here you can mark if this deck has any achievements. If you mark it as finalist, you will see this ribbon here. And if you mark as a champion deck, it's a similar ribbon with a number 1 on it. And track record, here you can write, for example, this was the deck which this guy won the whatever tournament, okay? And it will be everything saved here. Okay, that's regarding your decks, but as we have seen before, we can also use share decks. Okay, Kuduk Lore user, which is the system user, has made available for you both the beginner set and all the challenge decks, but as you can see, there's some other users that have published here. Let's check, for example, this one, Elrond Influencing Machine. Sounds interesting. And as you can see here, this deck is not your deck. As you can see, the author is another guy, so you cannot change it. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no explanation here. You cannot change anything from here because it's his or her deck. Okay, but you can go here and create a copy of this deck in your decks section. So right now we have Elrond Influencing Machine copy, and now I can change everything as it was my own deck. Okay, and everything is saved. As soon as you make any change to the deck, it's saved. So if you go to decks again, to my decks section, there you can see this is the copy of that deck. And as you can see here, you can see the original creator of the deck, and right at the side of it, you can see your own avatar. Okay, so that's the way that you should use a shared deck, because you always want to change something about it. I will not use this specific hazard. Maybe I don't want to use Dialomine because it's unique. I want to use power build by waiting, which is not as good, but it's not unique, and I can play always, whatever. So then you make a copy of the deck, and that's it. You can also just export it. It will create a file, as we have seen before. in your downloads folder, and then upload again to your decks and make all the changes. You can do it any way you want, and it will always work. And as we've seen before, you can of course delete your decks. This original decks was from Trotter, but as I've made my own copy, I can delete it, no problem. It disappears from here, but it's still here because he has the deck published. And now I imagine you are thinking about, okay, that's very nice, but I have my decks on Cardinum, or I have my decks on Melon, and how could I transfer my decks here? Well, that's very simple. If you go, you create a deck, whatever name. Okay, from GCCG, as we saw before, it's very simple. Just add one file, and that's all. From Cardinum, I have my account open here. I'm not very familiar with Cardinum. I played very little here, and I'm not really sure it has export functionality. But in case it does not have, you can just take, for example, here you have the pool. You just copy it, go to add from text, paste everything here, and you say, I want this on my pool. You add to deck. You see some alarms here, error adding card, pool, minor item. Well, these are not cards. These are just these separations. As you can see, Tukram, Beorn, Bofur, Sirdan, Glorfindel, whatever, are all here. So everything is okay, and you can just make the same with all the play deck here. You just copy, paste it here to my play deck, and here you go. You have everything here. If we go back, these are the characters in the deck. Copy, we paste it here in the play deck, add them, that's it, and the same for the sideboard. Sideboard here, and that's it. Here you have everything imported and already saved, so there's no problem with that. You can also make your explanation here, mark the achievements if the deck has some achievements. When you add from text, you see here the instruction. You can paste text in these formats. You can write the name of the card in any language. You can optionally specify the set, the alignment with these specific tags. Or maybe you want to put some rivers, but you don't want to use the original, the wizard ones. You want to use the one from the Littlest Eye, so you just use the asterisk, and that's all. And here you have some examples of how you can write it. Okay, so 1 plus the name of the card and the alignment, or the name of the card and the set. Or maybe Scroll of Isildur with an asterisk, which means the Littlest Eye one. You can put the name in English and in Spanish. Using the number before the name, you can use the name and then X2 or 2X and the name, or whatever. Okay, so it will accept almost everything. This is very useful when you just copy-paste from decks that are published on different online forums, which do not follow a standardized way of making things, and they just write the deck. Well, just copy paste here, and if there is any alert, it will appear down here, as we have seen before. And let's revise, but I think we know everything we should know about creating decks. So right now, our last video regarding this platform will revolve around playing a deck, playing a game, which will be with these buttons. You will select your deck after pushing these buttons to play the deck. So that's all for today. Keep playing, and we will see you in Middle Earth.